If you want to build, renovate, or buy property in Greenville County, you need to know the difference between cost per square foot and price per square foot, or you could lose a ton of money. Cost per square foot versus price per square foot. You often hear these two terms thrown around almost interchangeably in the world of real estate. If you're talking to a local home builder here in Greenville, they might give you a rough estimate in terms of cost per square foot. It will cost you $300 per square foot approximately to build this custom home. Now, when you're talking to an agent investor like myself and you want to buy a property, I might tell you homes in North Main are selling on average at this price per square foot. And it's really important that you understand the difference between the two, because here's a big mistake I see a lot of people making that costs them a ton of money. Many people assume and even expect by default that their value or price per square foot will exceed their cost per square foot. And here's the reality check. It doesn't actually work that way in real life, and this can cost you a ton of money. Obviously, when it comes time to sell or refinance that property, if you've spent $400 a square foot to build it and the market's only willing to pay $200, you're not going to have a good time here. All right. So how do we avoid these mistakes? Let's break each of these down individually, starting with the cost per square foot. What I see tripping a lot of people up are smaller properties. ADUs, accessory dwelling units, have become really popular ever since the city of Greenville changed their zoning laws to allow and even encourage in some ways more ADU construction. But here's where a lot of those projects fall apart when I get the calls from clients who are thinking about building them. They quickly realize that the cost per square foot to build versus the value or price per square foot that that project will be worth when it's completed doesn't really add up. And here's why. Builders and contractors don't really give you a discount for building smaller properties. In other words, to build a 1,000 square foot home versus a 700 square foot home, assuming they both have a kitchen, bathroom, etc., it's not that really big of a price difference at the end of the day. Let's use electrical just as a quick example here. The electrician still has to buy a panel to put your circuit breakers in. They still have to buy Romex, usually buy the roll. They also still have to start the truck and spend however many weeks it's going to take them to do the job. Ultimately, that little bit less of square footage isn't going to make a big difference on their time and labor. So very often they will not actually pass that cost savings on to you. You, the buyer, will just simply pay a much higher cost per square foot. Building the slightly larger home versus smaller actually is what can give you the better overall price and discount, because that labor, those materials just cost what they cost. Same thing with HVAC units. An HVAC unit, 2.5 ton unit, regardless of the size of home it's attached to, has the same price tag. So let's jump over to the price and value per square foot perspective and talk about that. So if you look again, using North Main as an example, this is a small area, y'all. It's kind of a limited geographic area. Only so many people can live in North Main. So if you look at recent home sales of 2-1s and 2-2s, the sub 1,000 square foot smaller properties, you will very often see that elevated price per square foot being paid. As the homes get larger, the price or value per square foot actually gets to be diluted, because at a certain point, people are only willing to spend an overall amount of dollars to live in that particular area. I find in North Main around the $1 million threshold, that's really where you see some of that dilution start to occur. A lot of builders and investors, they're only thinking about cost. So they see a 2-1 on a lot selling for $300 a square foot, and they think to themselves, if I tear that down and build a 3,000 square foot home there, I can sell it at $300 a square foot. And the market just doesn't work that way. Again, that threshold, that dilution often will occur. So understanding this before you buy property is super important, and especially if you're thinking about any type of build or construction or renovation project, you should not only know your cost per square foot, but you should get an agent investor like myself to help you with your price and value per square foot, so you can compare the two and see if the project will ultimately be worth it to you, the homeowner, because at the end of the day, it's your home, it's your choice, it's your money. You just need to make sure that your expectations when it comes time to sell or refinance are going to line up with what you hope will happen. But if you want more real estate tips and advice here in the upstate, hit the follow button.